lunch break. I hope you have fueled your bodies, and now we want to jump into the Nordics. We actually have 3 different parts to that. We want to connect what the Nordics really have brought out in terms of best practices, what we can learn also from it in Austria. The first keynote that we will be having will be deep diving into the VC space in Sweden and the Nordics, and we'll be sharing interesting insights. And most importantly, it's my honor to welcome Her Excellency Annika Marcovic, who is Ambassador of Sweden to Austria and permanent representative to the international institutions here in Vienna. She's an avid supporter of diplomatic ties, collaboration, but also gender equality. And with that, a big applause to Ambassador Annika Marcovic.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to sit down. I think it's easier to do that, and I hope that you can still see me and hear me. But it's really a true honor for me to talk to you this afternoon as we are going to delve into the field of venture capital and private equity in the Nordic region. And first, let's take a moment to appreciate the unique landscape of the Nordic region. It is characterized by rich natural resources, a strong work ethic, and a spirit of resilience. From technology hubs emerging in our cities to traditional industries looking to innovate. The northern countries is really a melting pot of opportunities. Sweden, my country, is considered innovative and stable in the investment world, with a robust framework that supports both local and international investors. In recent years, Sweden has become a European frontrunner in venture capital and private equity. Measured by part of GDP, Sweden has the largest private equity market in the European Union, and the investments made in this area have meant a considerable GDP growth. Venture capital funds have invested about 300 billion Swedish kronor during the last 10 years. The profitability of affected companies has increased by 53% on average, and the UK think tank New Financial has stated that Sweden is the deepest and most evolved capital market in Europe. In comparison with Austria, Sweden thus has a higher degree of private equity and venture capital companies. While Austrian companies tend to be locally established and family-owned, there are of course advantages in both models, shown by the high GDP per capita and the high specialization of these family-owned exporting companies. This has come to be, among other factors, through a strong tradition of entrepreneurship in Sweden connected to our industrial history, our tax reforms, the Swedish corporate governance model, and a culture of well-managed risk-taking, which has developed in recent time. This has led to Sweden importing capital, which stands out in the context of the whole of the European Union, and thus becoming a hub for investors from all around the world for venture capital investments in the whole Nordic region. And while the impact of private equity on productivity is diverse among multiple sectors, our experience is that the highest impact has been on sectors with high growth potential, primarily innovative ones. The fact that private equity and venture capital in Sweden primarily support these productive and innovative sectors assures that they are at the same time also contributing to further the competitiveness of the country as a whole. And from an Austrian viewpoint, one could in particular take note of the fact that professional services were impacted most beneficially by the private equity and venture capital sector in Sweden, as this is a very prevalent sector in Austria as well. When it comes to the overall EU policy, I want to emphasize how the question of venture capital will play an important part in the discussions about finalizing a single European capital market union, which is the framework for the integration of EU member states' capital markets into a common one. From a Swedish perspective, we see that access to private capital needs to be simplified throughout Europe. This is a cornerstone in our shared goal of improving long-term European competitiveness. Therefore, my government, the Swedish government, has stated that one of the top priorities for the incoming EU Commission should be to deliver quick and concrete reforms to complete a single European Capital Markets Union that supports people, businesses, and the economy at the same time. And as you know, a matter of growing importance for all companies, but especially those in the private equity and venture capital sphere, is that of ESG, environment, social, and governance. To be an attractive investment opportunity, a company must make sure to have an offer compliant with not only the rules and laws of the country it works in, but also its long-term societal vision. For example, here in Austria, where the ambition is to be climate neutral until 2040, the private equity and venture capital sector is in an optimal position to pioneer these changes by picking up on smaller, unlisted, promising companies and developing them to profitable success stories enabling this green transition. And last but not least, let me say a word about gender equality, because it was mentioned that this is a passion of mine. I've been working to promote gender equality for the past 30 years, and I still keep on working, because if you don't, then we start to slide backwards. And gender equality in the business sector in Sweden is not quite there yet. And it might come as a surprise to you, because Sweden is generally considered to be a very gender equal country, that when you look at the access to venture capital funding, only a few percentage points would go to female-run companies. And at the same time, the data is proving that very often female or mixed board-run companies are performing better than male-run or male-only board companies. And still, the access to venture capital is not there. And this is something that I think we need to all work to change. And I hope that this will be one of the discussion points also here at this Invest Austria conference. So thank you very much for having me. And I'm really looking forward to listen to all the speakers in the panel that's coming now.